This week's Brew the Coaches question comes from Georgina Phillips. My question is about anaerobic training. My running bio, 2020, I was marathon fit. COVID stopped this from happening. And in 2021, I ran a 50K. The last 3 years, life has got in the way and running has been just for fun, stress relief and social with a bit of cross country and a few local events along the way to join in our club league. I'm a steady mid-pack type of runner. I would one day like to get back to being marathon fit and take part in some 50K events. When going through my data of my runs on the Garmin Connect app, I have noticed the anaerobic effect of my run is always zero, even after an interval session, hill reps or plyometrics. My own answers for this are, I have a secret gear I haven't discovered. I wish I had a secret gear, my goodness me. I haven't discovered. And so I'm not working as hard as my Garmin thinks I am. 2, the little green LED on my watch may not be that accurate. Question, is anaerobic training important? And what is the reason why I never record any anaerobic effect from my run and training sessions? What should I do to add to my training to have an anaerobic effect? My takeaway is probably if you're doing a wrist-based heart rate check on your watch, that's probably not accurate. I'm pretty faithful if it's an arm optical. My experience is that's pretty good, and the chest strap's pretty good too. So that's my first little takeaway. But then I'm also curious if the data that Georgina's getting on her runs suggests she is getting a heart rate in these zones, but then the watch is still giving her a 0 score. But again, anecdotally, interval sessions, hill reps, you're definitely going to be anaerobic. So yeah, that's fascinating. Russell, yeah, over to you.
Hi, Tina. Yes, you're going to love me and Trish on this one because I'm pretty sure we're on the same page. And the answer is very clearly that the little green LED in your watch may not be that accurate. It's a Garmin. It's a tiny little device on your wrist trying to explain to you the vast complexities of the human body with something like 40 different energy systems running through it. And it's just not up to the task. So I would very heavily discount anything your Garmin tells you. Mine tells me that I can't break 3 hours for a marathon. And we all know I can do that on any given Sunday. So that's how inaccurate mine is. And yours is probably just full of shit, if I can say that. It doesn't understand your body. It doesn't read it properly. And it telling you that is a really negative thing. And then you're actually being told off by your watch. It's just a ridiculous situation to find yourself in. All anaerobic means is without oxygen, you can't get the oxygen into your body quick enough to sustain the pace that you're working at. If you're on a hill rep and you run 100 meters as fast as you can up that hill, you are not going to be able to carry on indefinitely up that hill. So you are in your anaerobic zone. Hill reps are a great way of getting into anaerobic effort. Plyos, not so much. Your watch is going to be even worse at measuring plyos. It is built to measure running. At the end of the day, it thinks it can measure everything now, but it's obviously not even able to measure your running. So there's no way it's going to give you an accurate reflection of what you're doing with your plyos. But with anaerobic work, yes, you do need it. You need to train every energy system so that you don't find yourself in a plateau. If you only ever train aerobically, you're going to hit a plateau. You're going to find that your pace tops out and cruising pace starts to get a challenge. Whereas anaerobic is going to make sure that you keep moving the needle on all your energy systems, and it's going to help you keep improving. But no, to the watch telling you off, it's just a negative, silly little machine. Go off feel. All the best runners in the world happen to live in one tiny part of the world called East Africa. And I can guarantee you they are not listening to their Garmin, and they're pretty fast, pretty quick runners, and they go off feel for yourself. If you know you can't keep this up for much longer, another maybe 100 meters, and then you're going to be completely spent. You're in your anaerobic zone. You don't need your watch to tell you that, would be my advice. And I'm pretty sure will be Trish's advice too.
Yeah, I completely agree with Russell there. I mean, the only thing I would say to you is RPE, rate of perceived exertion. So 100% focus on feel. If you're doing interval sessions, you will be going at and you're working hard, you will be going into anaerobic. So that's 100% a given. It's super important that you do anaerobic training in your program, because it's the only way you're going to consistently improve. You're going to keep pushing your fitness forward. And if you've ever sprinted or got towards the end of a race and sprinted to the finish, when you see athletes absolutely hurtling down the finish line, that's their anaerobic training kicking in. You absolutely need that for a sprint finish, and to stay strong throughout the last, the last little bit of your race. You've got to do it to continue to find improvements. So it sounds like you're doing it for sure. I would say another key thing with running and any type of training is to trust yourself. You've got to learn to trust yourself particularly when you're doing ultras. It's super important, because ultimately, if you don't trust how you feel, it's going to really make things difficult for you the further you go on in difficult events. So I would say just, Garmin's great. I love it. I love the morning report. I love all that stuff. I find the stats really interesting and fun and fascinating, and I love sharing it with my mates. Do I look at it religiously to shape my training? Not really. I think it's a good tool at the end of the day, but there's lots of other tools out there. None of those should take precedence over how you feel yourself when you're running. You should be able to trust how you feel. So if you are running a hill rep, a 1 minute, 2 minute hill rep, and you are absolutely hanging out and you can barely breathe, you are in your anaerobic.
Is there a metric? Is there one word answers? Is that?
Yeah. There's loads of great things like that. I mean, I some of the things I say to my athletes are, you should be able. So for me, a good way to know if you're running very easy is nasal breathing. I'm a big fan of that, and you don't have to do it all the time. You could just do, have a check in if you think you might be pushing a bit fast. Take a few nasal breaths. If it's easy or you're air hungry, you're going too fast. Another way is to be able to have an easy conversation, but particularly for anaerobic, you're talking one word answers. So when you're doing that hill rep or you're doing that interval session, it's a one word answer. You can't have a conversation. It's a yes, it's a no. I feel a little bit like I might die. This is uncomfortable. I don't like it. Those are the kind of feelings and thoughts that will be in your head when you're doing that kind of session. So I definitely think you're doing those sessions. I would just pay less attention to your watch and trust yourself, because it sounds like you're doing a good job.
I do run the heart rate. So I'm going to kind of contradict basically how I do all my training. But it's really hard. They have this old-fashioned metric, 220 minus your age. Yeah, and that just does not apply to everybody. Okay. So if you're using that as your baseline, then all of your data from then on in is out. So like Trish said, with that perceived effort, that really fits in with kind of real world training much more. But yeah, like I say, that's not how I train.
and there's lots of pluses to training with heart rate. I definitely say, again, it's another tool, but if you don't know what your max heart rate is, and you're then getting in the guess zone. So that only really works if you really know what your max heart rate is, and you have to, and there's tests you can do on your watch and stuff to kind of ascertain that and get a rough idea. But the other thing to remember as well is that sometimes you just can't hit those high heart rates. So if you're having I've just spent the last week in New Zealand, I'm really tired and I'm single parenting at the moment as well, right? So I don't have the mental energy to do a hard session. So I'm probably not going to hit that heart rate. Even though I could still go out and I could try and push it, but there's other reasons that, again, you need to listen to your body. If you're not going to hit that, if you're struggling to hit that high heart rate, that's your body telling you that it's not ready for that session. It's not the right session for you, and maybe to do an easier one. So heart rate sessions are a great tool. But again, I would say 100% go back to feel as the absolute, the thing that balances everything.
Breathe and believe. Awesome. Oh, good luck, Georgina.